Good Thursday morning, YouTube. I am back. Itepukui the place to be. Reviews right here with all the yous. Spider-Man will return to the MCU if Apple buys Sony. Now, I think this article is... I think it's obviously speculation, but it's been making the rounds, and unfortunately, we got this covered. It has been right a few times before. I don't know where they're finding these good sources, but given the quality of their journalism, this is kind of funny. This is from Sam Plank. This is from 4 days ago. Apple buying Sony. Now, if Apple buys Sony and they return Spider-Man to the MCU just to spite Sony, it's going to piss me off, because that means we're probably not going to get, what we were going to get if it was with Sony. And a lot of people are like, oh, Sony doesn't want to make Spider-Man. Look at Amazing Spider-Man 2. Well, look at what you had playing Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield. Now, I'm not saying that Tom Holland is my favorite iteration of Spider-Man. It's Tobey Maguire. It always will be, because those movies are vastly superior. I don't care box office. Quality of films is what I'm looking at. And the original Sam Raimi trilogy, part 1 and 2, are far and away superior to Tom Holland's Spider-Man Homecoming, as well as Far From Home. I don't care what the box office said. It was like kids movies, basically, to me. I enjoyed them for what they were, but I don't want to see high school Spider-Man anymore. I'm tired of it. In the original trilogy, he was only in high school for like a minute. So when everything is said and done with this Sony Disney tug of war, Spider-Man might just end up looking more like the elongated man. Ugh. In a new twist that not many people can say they saw coming, it appears that Apple could be eyeing Sony. And if that happens, the rights to Spidey would return to Marvel Studios. If you recall, back in December, we heard that Apple was and still is looking to get their piece of the pie in the streaming business, and a Sony buyout is one of the quickest ways to get their feet wet and acquire a ton of content and IP. There are a boatload of interesting details involved in the deal. Obviously, one of the biggest is apparently if Sony sells out to anyone, the Spider-Man rights automatically go back to Marvel. I don't see why Sony would sell out in the first place. It's not like they're a financial, ruin or anything. Sony CEO has repeatedly said he's not letting go of the company, but I seriously doubt he'd be able to say no to the right amount of money. And Apple would be the company that could wave that kind of dough around without batting an eye. Not to mention the iPhone creator buying Sony sounds like the best thing for everyone right about now. Fuck you. His fans will get to see Spider-Man in the MCU, and Sony might not churn out another dancing emo Peter Parker. Okay, so right off the bat, fuck this author. Obviously, they don't know shit about Spider-Man. If you're going to sit here and tell me that seeing Tom Holland basically suck off Iron Man is better than watching Spider-Man on his own. Oh, all the other Avengers are in it. Well, the fucking MCU has all the Avengers, okay? I don't need Spider-Man to be an Avenger to enjoy Spider-Man, okay? I prefer the solo Spider-Man. Now, if Sony did the Spider-Verse, cool, but they've got enough characters over there to make enough movies that would be cool as long as they did them well, as opposed to, oh, Mr. Stark. I've got Edith. I gave Edith to Mysterio. If you don't know who Edith is, it's just glasses that Tony Stark gave him. Basically like the ones he wore, all the tech, they control everything in Stark Industries. With in one battle with Mysterio, he was helping Mysterio in Far From Home defeat one of the elementals, which was obviously a fucking illusion created by the special effects expert Mysterio and his team. Then he just gives gives the keys to Stark Industries to a man he just met. And because he helped him one time, he just gave him this that Tony Stark gifted him. And it's utterly ridiculous and stupid and naive. And I could not stand that part of the movie in the, oh, Mr. Stark in Avengers. Oh, geez, Mr. Stark. Ugh, stop. God, please. Tom Holland's 24. He can play an adult Spider-Man. Of course, there's nothing to say that Apple will definitely acquire the studio, and even if they did, it'd be a long time before such a deal actually came to fruition. But still, it's nice to know that all hope is not lost for Spider-Man returning to the MCU. We'll be keeping our fingers crossed that the tech giant eventually makes the move and gobbles up Sony, and sooner rather than later. Does it get any dumber or garbage tier than that? Like, that's not even an article. I'm just going to talk a little bit now about this because I don't think this is a good thing for Sony. So, like I said, Sony's not in financial peril. They don't need to be bought out. And this whole thing of, oh, Spider-Man belongs in the MCU. Why does he belong in the MCU? Just because he's a fucking superhero? No. No. The MCU is turning to the MCU. Do we really want to see another one of our superheroes get cucked out like Thor did? And I don't care, Taika Waititi coming out and saying that, this is Thor's movie. It'll star Thor. She's in it. Referring to Natalie Portman as Lady Thor. No. The movie's going to focus on her transforming into Lady Thor and Valkyrie looking for her queen because she's the king of Asgard. And Thor's the odd man out in his own fucking movie. So Spider-Man can stay over on Sony and stay the hell out of the MCU, because when you go get woke, you go broke, and that's Marvel is going to be they're morally bankrupt because they just sold their soul in the name of social justice. Now they're talking about race flipping Magneto and Professor X, and there's nothing against race swapping a character if it makes sense for the story, but this doesn't seem to make sense, and their reasoning is flawed, as is this article saying that Spider-Man has to return to the He has to return to the MCU. Oh my God, somebody buy Sony just to get Spidey back. Shut up. God. I didn't want to rant on this video, but it's so stupid. It is so stupid. Like, all these people, like, if you're in a Marvel group, you're going to get attacked if you say you don't want Peter Parker in the MCU, and I don't, man. We don't need little teeny bopper Peter Parker worried about homecoming and, I want to go on my senior trip. I can't roll my eyes back far enough in my head for this. Like I said, I enjoyed the movies for what they were, but would I prefer a more mature Spider-Man? Yes. Do I think we'll get that from Sony? Absolutely. With that being said, what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. This article is obviously garbage tier, but let me know what you think. Bitch slap that like button. Be sure, please subscribe. And if you do, turn bell on for notifications. I'm Itepo Kuini, the place to be reviews. I've been here with all of yous, and now it's time for me to go. I'll be back later, and if I don't see you, have a good day and a pleasant tomorrow.